Dear colleagues, let me present to your attention the paper entitled A Frequency Dictionary of Proper Names in a 17th-Century Original Text by Oksana, Nika and Svitlana Hrytsyna from Shevchenko National University of Kyiv. In this paper, we have shown the features of our work at different stages of creating the frequency dictionary of proper names in a 17th-century original text, from preparing the ancient original text, compiling the dictionary of proper names, classification of proper names into groups, to the calculating the frequency of proper names in the text, and presentation of the obtained results in a dictionary constructed in the descending frequency order. The object of the study is principles and methods of compiling a frequency dictionary of proper names in the early modern sermon of the 17th century. The subject of the study is diachronic specificities of compiling a frequency dictionary of proper names sorted in the decreasing frequency order. The objectives of the paper are demonstrating the novelty of compiling a frequency dictionary of proper names in early modern texts, describing the stages of frequency dictionary compilation and their application to origin ancient texts, specifying the preparatory stage of dictionary compilation and principles of tokenization of Cyrillic 17th century texts, showing the specificities of stemming and lemmatization with regard to phonetic, orthographic and grammatical word and word form variation, discussing the text frequency of proper name use, frequency discrepancies, division into groups and subgroups. This frequency dictionary is historical. Its compilation and results focus on describing the characteristics of the genre, a sermon, cultural model, Baroque period, early modern period, 17th century, monolingual Ruthenian language with reference to ways of rendering proper names from other languages via Latin. The novelty of the scientific problem is in supplementing and adjusting certain stages in the algorithm for compiling a frequency dictionary of proper names in view of the historical specificities of the text, diacritics, variants, graphics, orthography, features of the text generation, the necessity for correlation with texts of different genres, corpus-related research, comparison of corpora. The obtained results can be used for theoretical and applied works, as well as in the teaching of statistical, corpus linguistics, history of language, lexicography. Linguistic and statistical parameterization of the 17th century originals can be used to study other genres in synchrony and diachrony. The main methods and techniques employed in the study are methods of quantitative and statistical analysis combining quantitative methods to determine the number of proper names, lexemes and word forms, frequency of their use in the text, their division into groups and subgroups, creating a frequency dictionary of proper names in a 17th century original text, frequency discrepancies in proper name use. Distributional analysis to identify the distribution of proper names in the text, collocation of single and multi-component proper names and their variation, phonetic, orthographic, structural, to differentiate the cases of homonymy and classification of proper names into groups and subgroups. Componential analysis to establish the meaning of words and their belonging to a certain group or subgroup in the process of lemmatization and distinction of homonyms, to determine the primary and secondary nomination, to classify proper names into groups and subgroups. Descriptive method for empirical research of language material, for description of quantitative characteristics of proper names in the studied original text of the 17th century and their interpretation. The genre of sermon was well developed in early modern Europe. Oriented toward the audience of different social status, the sermon explicated precedent proper names. Antoni Radvilovsky was one of the popular 17th century authors who combined in his writings, European models, and Kyiv literary traditions. Radivailovsky was unique in expanding the range of proper names used in his sermons, which was influenced by the broad variety of sources and Baroque character of presentation. The textual basis for the frequency dictionary of proper names is the publication Radivailovsky Antony, Baroque Sermons of the 17th Century by Oksana Nika and Yulia Oleshko. The frequency dictionary is based on the 17th century texts by Radivailovsky, Index and Dictionary of Proper Names, containing headwords with their graphic, orthographic and phonetic variants and their meanings, both primary and secondary, with contexts given. The 17th century original texts, 23 sermons covering 226 pages in total, have been reproduced through metagraphing, an ancient text publication with maximum saving of the original features. These texts come from the collections Огородок Марії Богородиці, The Garden of Virgin Mary, 1676, and Вінець Христов, The Wreath of Christ, 1688, as well as their manuscript versions, which are kept in the Department of Early Printed Books and Rare Publications and the Manuscript Institute of the Vernadsky National Library of Ukraine. As for their themes, most sermons are festive ones, while two of them are war-themed. The work with the text started with its techinization. Since proper names were of primary interest, all manipulations in the text, such as removal of syntactic characters, the removal of the tilde as superscript, which was often drawn by the author over the names of persons to emphasize their holiness, were made only with proper names. It should be noted that the margin notes, so-called glosses, weren't taken into account for the calculation purposes. Proper name homonymy is quite a frequent phenomenon, and it was addressed by adding a special character serving to distinguish homonyms. For instance, proper names noe, noe, and word combinations вторий noe, новий noe were put into different groups. In the first case, the proper name noe, noi belongs to the group of biblical anthroponyms. In the second case, вторий noe, новий noe is a metaphoric description of Theodosius of Kyiv, so it belongs to the subgroup hagionyms, names of Ruthenian saints. To avoid errors in the calculation, multi-component stemmas of proper names were placed at the beginning. Lemmatization of proper names used in the text was made manually. Each lemma proper name represents a set of stemmas, word forms that have the same lexical meanings and correspond to the same proper name. Due to different graphic representation of the same sound, stemmas belonging to the same lemma, Moisei, could also look as follows. Here is the parallel spelling on and ot are observed. The synonym Jesus Christ has the greatest number of phonetic and orthographic variants, 85 in the text. Sometimes the textual representation of a proper name was so variable that the set of stemmas consisted of word combinations. For example, Діва Марія, Цариця Небесная Марія, Матері Царя Небесного, Діво Пренайсвятішая, Богородице Діво, Богородице і Преснодіви Марії, or Письмо Святое, Писание Святое. The study proves that multi-component proper names in the text may have up to 7 components, thus increasing the number of variants. On the basis of the dictionary of proper names in Radivailovsky's sermons, the proper names were divided into 24 groups, which are as follows: biblical anthroponyms, synonyms, Christian synonyms, synonyms denoting gods of the Greco-Roman pantheon, synonyms, names denoting Slavic deities, hagionyms, names of biblical prophets, hagionyms, name of evangelists, anthroponyms, names of Ruthenian princes, toponyms, astyonyms, hydronyms, names of the seven wonders of the world, etc. Numerical data was obtained through a specially developed Python scripts. The total number of words in the text is 51,821. 270 unique proper name lemmas were used for the analysis, which formed 811 unique word forms. The total number of proper names in the texts, lemmas plus their word forms, or their absolute frequency, is 2611. It means that a unique lemma or a unique word form could be presented several times in the text. The percentage coverage of the text with proper names, the ratio between the total number of proper names in the text and the total number of words in the text, is 0.0503. The diversity of the proper name vocabulary, the ratio between the total number of proper name lemmas and the total number of proper names in the text, is 0.1034. The onomastic diversity of the text, the ratio between the total number of proper name lemmas and the total number of words in the text, is 0.005. The calculations have also identified the least frequently used proper names. Therefore, we found 123 proper names with frequency 1, the so-called hapax legomena. The computer calculations have also identified the most and the least used groups of proper names. The highest frequency group is theonyms, Christian theonyms, with 1,265 word tokens. Then come biblical anthroponyms with 355 and hagionyms, names of saints and martyrs, names of Christian theologians and church fathers, with 219. The next groups that are of a similar size are hagionyms, names of Ruthenian saints with 134 word tokens, names of angels and archangels, apostles with 126, and hagionyms, names of biblical prophets, with 117. The lowest frequency groups are insulonyms 1, oronyms 4, theonyms, names denoting Slavic deities 5, anthroponyms, names of parable characters 6, and names of the seven wonders of the world 6. We calculate the proper name group coverage of the text according to the formula 11, where GO is the proper name group and N is the total number of words in the text. We calculate the proper name group coverage of the proper name vocabulary according to the formula 12, where GO is the proper name group and ON is the total number of proper names in the text. The calculation data are given in Table 1. Table 2 shows the results of calculating the proper name frequency distribution on the basis of a frequency dictionary of proper names in a 17th-century original text sorted in the decreasing frequency order. The table shows that one proper name with a usage frequency in the range of 500–999 and one proper name with a frequency in the range of 400–499 have been recorded in the text Antoni Radovilowski, Baroque Sermons of the 17th century. Interestingly, no lemmas fall in the range between 399 and 80, while the largest number of proper names have a usage frequency of 1, 2, and 3. On these figures, you can see the graphic representation of the distribution of proper names having frequency between 999 and 20 and frequency between 19 and 1 in the decreasing frequency order based on Table 2. The examples of frequency-rated proper names are displayed for illustration purposes. The highest frequency proper names are Цар Небесний 677, Цар неба і землі Христос Спаситель 428, Духом Святим 77, Матки Рождества Сина Божого 73, Павла 72, Письмі Святом 63, Антоній Печерський 54, Ілія 52, Nikolai, 49. Interestingly, almost one-half of proper names are unique with a usage frequency of 1. Justinian, Dniprom, Plutarch, Rika Nil, etc. Working with an original 17th century text, we have been able to reveal the specific historical features of the analyzed material at different stages of the study. Using a sequential algorithm, we compiled the frequency dictionary of proper names in a 17th century original text, sorted in the decreasing frequency order, described the volume of the text and its vocabulary, the variety of proper names in it, as well as the number of low-frequency proper names. The onomastic space of historical records of the Ruthenian language, studied through the prism of quantitative measurement, allows us to draw conclusions about the worldview paradigms of the 17th century intellectuals and identify proper names which were significant for the preacher and his audience. In particular, analysis of proper names attested in the publication Radivilowski Antoni Baroque Sermons of the 17th Century has shown that a Baroque preacher saw the Gospel as the main and undisputed authority among books, thinking in the context of the Christian doctrine and being a zealous Christian. They also believed that the Holy Trinity, composed of God the Father, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit, was the supreme being and ranked the Virgin Mary very high as well. This was also determined by the themes of the sermons, most of which were festive ones. As a polyglot and erudite, Radivilowski expanded the proper name range of sermons by using proper names of thinkers, historians, and poets, for example, Avzoni, Aristoteles, Plinius, etc. The study is important for comparing the frequently used words or hapax legomena established in the dictionary with the text of different genres and historical periods in historical corpora to identify intertextual connections, for example with the Bible, precedent names. Further studies are warranted to compare the proper name frequency dictionary based on the 17th century sermons with other texts of this genre in synchronic and diachronic perspectives, as well as with texts of other genres, which will add new data on the usage frequency of different proper name groups, development of their secondary meanings, ratio of one and multi-component proper names. Thank you for your attention.